Hello, my lovelies. I'm Jenny O, the author with no last name, and I'm also a dev editor, fashion designer, and game developer. And lately, I've been using my game developer hat a lot, and today is no different. Today, we're going to chat about Sly Cooper in the core game loop. Sly Cooper is a game that originally came out on the PS2 and has 4 games. The first 3 are from Sucker Punch Productions, and the 4th game was put out by Sanzaru Games, all published by Sony Interactive Entertainment. You play as Sly Cooper, a young orphan raccoon who is on a quest to become a master thief like his ancestors before him. In order to become a master thief, the Cooper Creed states one must steal from master criminals. He must reclaim portions of his family treasure, a book called The Thievius Raccoonus, from a gang of master criminals called the Fiendish Five in order to carry on his family legacy. Convenient. While staying out of the clutches of the beautiful and determined Interpol agent, Inspector Carmelita Fox. A little over the top. Well, it's a little over the top type of game. It's a single-player adventure platformer in a 3D cel-shaded style. Orphans, over-the-top criminals, master plans, cops taking credit for your hard work. It's kind of Bond meets Ocean's 11, and it plays into it hard. One thing Sly Cooper series does really well is its core game loop. So, what is a core game loop? The core game loop is the actions a player takes in order to complete levels or quests in order to gain skills and abilities. Then rush, rinse, repeat until the completion of the story or main goal of the game. Which in this case, in Game 1, is Sly Cooper defeating the Fiendish Five, avenging his father, and reclaiming all portions of the Thievius Raccoonus. A core game loop type is going to depend on your type of game. A core game loop, say in Mario, was going through the entire level and getting the flag at the end, and then every 10th level defeating a boss only to find out your princess is in another castle, until you actually get to the princess. Mario being one of the first, if not first, platformer-style games. In Mario, you could find power-ups and gain health hearts. The power-ups were your abilities for that very early platform. As games progressed, games like Zelda, being a single-player adventure, included attack abilities and weapons you got to keep. As games became more complex, so did the core game loops. Whether your core game loop is a 10-minute cafe kitchen game making pastries to sell to guests in a time level, or if it's an open-world adventure game where your quest might take you all the way to the other side of the map to fight a boss to get a power item, there is still a cycle of gameplay for the player to feel like they are progressing forward in the game, in learning things to make the game more complex, gameplay-wise, or easier to accomplish harder challenges or get them into new places. Or there should be. 10-minute core game loops get dull after a while. Go out, fight a monster, come back for a reward, go fight more monsters, repeat, boring. Take Ratchet and Clank. You can find helmets that let you go out into space or dive underwater without worry about drowning. Or you can upgrade Clank to have different jetpack abilities, or get different boots, or find gliders. Or find different gadgets to pick locks or do things like make water into ice or even move water from place to place. This provides variety and challenge to your core game loop. You're still exploring the map to find the secret places and golden bolts and next clue of your journey. You're facing puzzles on the way. Sly Cooper has a very basic gameplay loop, especially in Thievius Raccoonus. In Thievius Raccoonus, each world is broken up into different levels. There's the approach to the main level, usually 2 sections of a larger world, and then these sections will have portals into different areas. The first section is a boat, for example. So you can get into different areas of the boat at different portals. The goal is to get through a level without walking through lasers or going into any spotlights, tripping alarms, and causing enemies to try and kill you. that much faster. And there are enemies scattered throughout each level who will try to kill you. At the end of the level, there is a key to collect to basically unlock the next areas. In the first game, Sly cannot pick locks or swim. He's a raccoon that can't swim, and there's a point where you just don't think about it too hard. Scattered throughout the levels are bottles. In each level, there tends to be a safe. If you get all the bottles, Bentley, your genius turtle friend, can decipher the codes to unlock a safe in which there is a page of the Thievius Raccoonus, and you, Sly, learn a new ability. And that's pretty much it. Get through the levels by running, swimming, climbing. Oh, I see you! Collect bottles, unlock safe to get an ability, get the key, do it all over again. Until it's time to defeat the boss, gain yet another new ability, and move on to the next world. Now, the gameplay is broken up a little bit in the first game. For instance, there are two types of levels that feature Murray, the hippo driver and muscle of the group. He is not a burden, Sly. He is the emotional glue. Yeesh! Murray can race the van in order to get a key. Or he'll run through a level as you, Sly, fire a gun to pick off the enemies so he can get a key. Yes, Murray is pink. He's male. He's an albino hippo. It is very important he's pink. We do not talk about the movie trailer. It didn't exist. Murray is an albino, and that is that. There are a couple more shooting types of levels in the first game. An underwater submarine versus crabs, and then a bayou skimmer versus ghosts. There is also a boss fight that is more rhythm memorization game. Then you put all these together to take on the big boss Clockwork and invade his fortress and put an end to his reign of terror. Or so you think. This core game loop was very tidy. It makes you feel accomplished as you pick up new skills, and every level you can find all the bottles. One of the abilities is an upgrade to show you where the bottles and enemies are, so you know, just in case you were having trouble. The other good thing about this core game loop was it was very easy to take the basics of it and build on it in game 2 through 4. The only thing we don't talk about in 4 is the cliffhanger after edits credits ending in the fact there is no 5 or 6 or 7. In the second game, Sucker Punch created a more open world style map for players to explore. You can now pick pockets. There are still bottles littered around the open world with their distinctive clink clinks. That sound haunts my dreams sometimes. And you can now play as all 3 characters, Sly, Bentley, and Murray, as you discover a new group of master criminals, the Claw Gang. Is using the parts of Clockwork to advance their nefarious deeds. Now you must invade their bases, set up your own hideout, recon, create, and execute a master plan to get the parts of Clockwork back and figure out how to destroy them forever. And Bentley will have to learn to drive the van. While you aren't going solely after keys anymore, the core game loop is still the same. Take on a mission, get the required pictures or items, find in safes or buy abilities, buy a thief net. There's not really any van racing and not nearly as much shooting minigames, but Sly can get a paraglider, which is cool. Each of your protagonists have different abilities for you to use as you try to stop the Claw Gang from resurrecting Clockwork. Will this guy ever die? The worst part is, Clockwork is an owl, so I want to be like, ooh, owl! Then in Sly 3, they built more on the core game loop again. In Sly 3, the core game loop is still an open world, take on missions, get items or abilities to advance the story. In Sly 3, they add in flying an airplane and piloting in a pirate ship. You also get to learn how to pick combination spin front padlocks, and they bring in an RC chopper and RC car missions, and there is some swimming with a new team member. You use costumes to infiltrate the master criminals' lairs as part of the plans. Bentley has a grapple camera. All in order to recruit former criminals who you may have gone up against in the past or make new friends to try and get into the Sly Cooper family vault that is under siege by Dr. M. Bentley has one of the best character arcs across these 3 games, and he does have his bit in 4 as well. I love his growth as a character. He is really well written. The characters are all well written, but to me, Bentley's arc really stands out. There are treasures scattered around the world with explosives on them, and if you can get them back to the hideout in time, you can sell them on ThiefNet to once again get cool abilities and power-ups. Sly 3 is when they took out the bottles. No more clink clink. Might spare your sanity a bit. And in the Sly Cooper Vault is where all the abilities and things you've learned come together, and you get to find out about the ability your father Connor was going to put in the Thievius Raccoonus. Which is awesome. Unfortunately, it doesn't come up in 4. Ugh. Annoying. And in 4, you get to go back in time, meet the ancestors, have them help you in your heist to thwart the new master criminal and keep the timeline straight. So you get to use their personal abilities. You thought it was cool Tennessee Cooper had a gun? Well, now you get to use it, and it's just as cool as you thought. You want to see the treasure Henrietta One-Eye Cooper stole from pirates? You get to see the treasure. You want to meet Ryoichi Cooper? You get to meet Ryoichi Cooper. But the core game loop is still the same. It's a good core game loop because it can expand and contract even in later games to both embrace new mechanics and then at times really focus on what made the original Sly Cooper such a good game with all the varied levels and making use of the abilities he learned as a Cooper. In the first game, you set the foundations of learning of what Sly is capable of. In the second game, you get to learn what Murray and Bentley can do, new overworld type, plus new minigames. Then in the third game, as you recruit members, you'll get to use their specializations and abilities in the levels, new minigames. In the fourth game, this is replaced with helping your ancestors who have special skills. You are learning new skills and abilities in order to progress the story/plot of the game, and this makes you, as a player, feel accomplished. You restored the Thievius Raccoonus. You've defeated Clockwork for good. You think. You've secured the Cooper Vault, and you've restored the timeline. Or so you think. All of these tangible, seeable goals with clear personal investment, progress in the advancement of Sly's career, and guarding his family legacy. Sly Cooper had the distinctive design features of being a heist platformer game, no matter what minigame mechanics they put in, which usually they were things to further the heist themes of hacking. What is piracy but stealing on the high seas? Or maybe. No matter your core game loop, it is important the skills and abilities the players get to learn actually help in the future in previous levels. And feel powered enough, the player gets the sense their time spent was worth a while, and they are going to be able to advance in the game while still being challenged. And if, like in Sly 2, you want to bug an office with an actual bug, more power to you. If the player isn't learning any skills or really earning anything, then there's no reason for them to play outside of any story or just pure exploration for the sake of exploration. Now, some players will do that, but that means your exploration better be really good and your story really gripping and complete. Emphasis on complete. Making a game is a balancing act. And making your core game loop and your story work together for your player to want to continue to invest time in your game is one of those things you need to decide early and figure out how it can expand and contract to fit with the theme of your game. It's good to look at the type of game you're making and play games of similar types to see how other studios did it and whether or not you actually like the type of core game loop they used, and think about what you do differently, which will make your game be distinctive and stand out from the pack. And that's the core game loop. What the player have to do in the game to learn skills and abilities in order to progress the next part of the game, wash, rinse, repeat until they complete the goals set out by the game. Whether it's rescue the princess or find all the pages of the book. It sounds easy, but it's, easy to forget, or easy to only get halfway, or easy to put in a new goal and forget you need now to complete the new goal, which could be side quests. Sly Cooper, though, does it really well. Good job, Nick Fox. No, not making that up. I know this was rather short. Now I really want to go play Sly Cooper. Again. So, thanks for listening. Always progress your skills and abilities so you can take on the next challenge in your game. Yes, I said in your game, not your life. In your game. Take care of yourself. Stay safe. Bless. And I'll see you in the next video.